Greetings to all. Myself, Devananda S. Thampy, is here in front of you to present a story written by O. Henry named as The Last Leaf. It is a story where despair meets unexpected courage, where a single leaf acts as an embodiment of hope, and where unspoken love turns into a masterpiece. Sue and Johnsy were two young struggling artists who lived in a studio in Greenwich Village. They were very close friends. In the bitter winter, Johnsy came down with the illness of pneumonia, which turned her world deprived of all the color. However, Johnsy was not at all willing to come up or recover from her illness. She stayed motionless, staring into the old ivy creeper that crept up the brick wall of the opposite building. Sue tried to motivate her, but it proved of no use. One day, to Sue's horror, Johnsy whispered, "I'm counting the leaves. When the last leaf falls, I must go." Sue trembled and said, "Johnsy, don't speak like that." However, Johnsy continued, "Yes, when the last leaf falls, I shall die." Johnsy continued to be in despair. Sue, who was like someone who was struck with a cold blade, rushed downstairs to meet the gruff and old painter, old Burman. Burman was a man who always dreamt of painting a masterpiece, a dream which remained unfulfilled. When he heard about Johnsy's belief, he growled, "What? Someone who believes that they'll die when a leaf falls?" However, that growling was not a ridicule. He did it out of grief. Beneath the rough exterior lied a tender heart. Again, that night, storm clouds gathered, icy rain slashed, and the ivy creeper started falling its leaves one by one. However, when Johnsy woke up at dawn, in order to see the final symbol of her fate, she was surprised to see that one single leaf standing on the ivy creeper as an embodiment of unwavering strength. She waited. That night too. The storms came, heavier than usual. However, that strong leaf stood unyielding, unwavering, and Burman stepped into the tempest. However, that leaf rekindled something in Johnsy's mind, a flicker of will, a rebirth of hope. She thought to herself, "I will live. I must live." The doctor came next day and told Sue, "Johnsy will recover. Now she has the will to live." However, the tragedy came from downstairs. Old Burman was found shivering, battling pneumonia, and he died. He walked into the tempest. Sue revealed to Johnsy that one leaf that stood in the ivy creeper was not real. That one leaf that showed unwavering hope and strength was not real. It was Burman's masterpiece. It was his masterpiece that he painted in the final hours of his life. It was the result of the sacrifice of his life, which made a young soul recover from illness and come back to life with full of positivity. This story shows us that not all masterpieces are painted on canvas. It is painted on hearts. And courage does not arrive trumpeting loudly. It comes silently, disguised in the smallest possible ways. Thank you.